Why would you take time out of people's lives to talk about dinosaurs? Number one, Satan is using that to spread his lie of evolution and to keep people away from the truth. Dinosaurs are the one key function that Satan has used to spread the lies of the millions of years, to spread the lies of dinosaurs being dead long before man. Dinosaurs are now being used as the truth, the lie to the evolutionary fact that dinosaurs turned into birds. There's the dinosaur. Yeah. Next time you look at that little hummingbird out in your backyard, about 5 million years ago, he was a 200-ton apatosaurus. There's something wrong with this thinking. Okay, but that's what they're teaching. We'll get into that more in a little while. That's why we teach about it. Christians are confused about where dinosaurs fit in history. I don't know about y'all. I won't ask the question of hands. I'll raise my hand. But I asked the question many times, where do dinosaurs fit in the Bible? Where, if the earth is, because I never really questioned the age of the earth, but I thought if the earth is all, where do the dinosaurs fit in with where people are? If they were dead before people, where does the Adam and Eve thing fit in? And you see, people begin to wrap this stuff around and begin to ask a lot of questions about where dinosaurs fit into the Bible. So it's a good thing to talk about. They're a great evangelistic tool. There are people that will not talk to you about John 3:16, but sit down and talk to them about dinosaurs. Everybody will talk about dinosaurs. And we can wrap that dinosaur conversation right into the book of Genesis, and we'll lead them to John 3:16 very quickly. Dinosaurs are a great evangelistic tool. Found in the jail that we had, we speak on Tuesday nights to the trustees of the jail, which is only about 15. They float 15 to 20 of the trustees inside the jail over there. And we found in Bible study we had 4, 5, 6. We were floating 7. Somewhere right around the 40-50% of the guys would come. We went in and said, we're going to have teaching on evolution and creation, and we're going to talk about dinosaurs. We rose up to 12 to 30, over 75% of the guys came. They wouldn't hear about the Bible, but they'd come to hear about this stuff. And you have a chance to actually share the gospel of Jesus Christ through all of it. And I think God should get the glory for all of his creation. I think God should get the glory for everything he created. And evolution certainly had nothing to do with it. The Geo got a very interesting statement back in 1993. They wrote an article on dinosaurs, a picture of a nice pterosaurus there, and he says, no human being has ever seen a dinosaur. We got to look at these questions about things that are said. Who was here now? Let's see, we were all here in 1993. Martin, did they come and ask you if you ever saw a dinosaur? Didn't know. Murray, how about you? Did they come and ask you? No interview for you either. Neil? They come and interview you? If they didn't interview me, if they didn't interview every human being on the face of the earth, what gives them the right to make that statement? If they didn't interview everybody, they got no right to make the statement. No human being has ever seen a dinosaur. Fact is, you're going to learn next week there are human beings who have seen dinosaurs. You're going to learn that next week. The Bible says, for in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and earth and all that in them is. Well, let's take a look at this. 6 days, heaven and the earth and all that in them is. Well, you all agree with me that dinosaurs were in the earth. Dinosaurs were on the earth, as we know. We found their bones, so we know they lived, we know they died. Is that a fact? So we know they did live here on the earth. The Bible says God did everything, all that is in them, so therefore God did create the dinosaurs. Creation happened in 6 days. So in those 6 days, God created the dinosaurs. We look at day 6 because it says, and the beasts of the fields. Dinosaurs may have been created on day 5 because on day 5 it says that he created the fish, the birds, and notice it says, and the whales that were in the sea. Y'all remember that little verse there? Look at the Hebrew word for the word whales. It means sea serpent. It means sea serpent. And the Bible talks about dragons that are in the sea. So possibly they were done on day 4. We don't know. But God says on 6 days God created everything, and therefore God created the dinosaurs. In the book of Job, we see a dinosaur. So how did he get from Adam to Job without going through the flood? The fact is, dinosaurs had to be on the ark. And God had to have created every single one of them. We have dogs in our backyard. Adam had an apatosaurus maybe. I've walked through the woods before, and I was out taking a hike when I was out camping up north one time. I began to go into one of my states, and I began to look at the rocks and the trees and everything. As I walked through the woods, I thought, what would it have been like to turn a corner and see a stegosaurus sitting there? Or to look out over the mountain right there and see a 20-ton apatosaurus eating leaves off the top of the branch. Adam would have saw all this. Adam would have saw all of it. Adam lived with the dinosaurs. If you don't believe in miracles, folks, there's a picture of one. We were at one of the islands out there, and they asked me to come and hold this thing here, and then he said put it on her and take a picture and do all that stuff here. This is a living miracle. If you don't believe in miracles, Linda Holden lizard. But the biggest pterosaur flying inland is a pteranodon.
Oh no, looks like to me it's holding her.
He was big. His tail went down. He was about 5 foot long. He was a good sized little lizard. But what we will find interesting, like all reptiles, they grow throughout their lives. A lot of people are not aware of this, that reptiles never stop growing. If you have a pet snake or a pet lizard in your house, he will never stop growing. They always grow their entire life. So think about it. God created the earth. He created everything mature. Adam and Eve were created mature because they had babies shortly after, right? They said pick the fruit off the trees. So God created the trees. The trees already had fruit on them. God created a mature earth, not a earth that had to grow up. It was a very mature earth. So God created the dinosaurs. They were already mature, and they had 400 or 500 years they wanted to live and grow with all the greenery to eat they wanted. Dinosaurs had no problems whatsoever getting very, very big. No problem whatsoever. Reptiles never stopped growing. The fact is, dinosaurs were nothing but big lizards, and they lived with Adam and Eve. There were some small ones. There were some big ones. Who would like to take a guess? What was the average size? What was the average size of a dinosaur? Huh?
I would think it's not as big as you.
No, it wasn't. You're right there. Average size of a dinosaur was about the size of a sheep. That's the average size of a dinosaur. Because most dinosaurs were not as big as the ones you see in your books. Though the ones you hear about, the ones we talk about, are the long necks. The stegosaurus over there that Dennis has got in his hands. We hear about the really big ones. But there were many dinosaurs no bigger than a chicken that ran around. They were all classified in the same realm because they were reptiles running around the earth. They were dinosaurs. But all we ever hear about is the big ones. Average size was about the size of a sheep. Fact is, let's ask the question, were there dinosaurs on the ark? Is it possible that dinosaurs were on the ark? Well, Reverend Billy Graham was asked this question, and he's got a great ministry. Many souls were saved under his ministry. But he was asked a question. He says, did they have dinosaurs on Noah's ark? Billy Graham's response, but no. Noah's ark apparently did not include dinosaurs. The reason is because dinosaurs and similar ancient creatures that we only know from fossils were extinct. Billy, I love you, but you're wrong. You're wrong on this issue. Dinosaurs were not extinct at the time of Noah's ark. But this is what we talked about when we talked a couple weeks ago about the gap theory, day-age theory, if y'all remember those things here, where people insect the millions of years into the Bible. And I hope we gave enough evidence to show you that the earth is a very, very young earth. But he's got a great ministry, but he's wrong on this particular issue. Dinosaurs were on the ark with all the other animals. Woody Woodpecker was probably not quite that destructive on the ark. I believe God took care of Woody Woodpecker. But the fact is, dinosaurs definitely on the ark with all the other animals. Think about Noah. Noah was 600 years old when he made the ark. Noah was smart. And 600 years of living on the earth with your father who knew Adam, with all the people that were here for part of the creation, all the things you would learn in 600 years, you would be a smart person. So as God told Noah to build the ark, God was the dinosaur. Well, yeah, Noah would have known two things, but take pink and a blue one on the ark also. For those of you who don't understand that, we'll come back to that. But why bring babies on the ark? Why bring babies on the ark? Number one, they're smaller. Okay? The smallest dinosaur egg is no bigger than a football. Y'all that know football? No, this big here. That is one of the biggest eggs that have been found. Dinosaurs were actually very small when they were born. Here's a chicken egg. Here's a dinosaur egg. Dinosaurs were born and they were very, very small animals. They weren't big at all. Y'all see the movie Jurassic Park? The raptors, the ones that hunt the people down. Okay, the smart ones, the ones that hunt. They assume that they hunted like that, and they were the smarter because they look at them. They were, most of the time when you buy them, when you find the bones, they're in large graveyards with a bunch of them that are buried together. So did they live in packs? I think that's possible. Were they smart? They look at their brain and say their brain's bigger than other dinosaurs in relationship to their body, so they were smart. So these were dinosaurs that hunted in packs, and they hunted after people. Now, we don't know where the people came in, but that's how they analyze a lot of the stuff here. That raptor, I want you to understand, was not that big. Raptors actually were roughly, in fact, if you look over the table, see that wooden raptor on the far right-hand side of that table over there, that wooden raptor's over there, that's actually about the size of the raptors, of some of the biggest raptors we've found. The raptors were not as big as the ones you saw in that movie. They weren't these huge animals hunting after people. That's one of the few that we've got that's actually about the size of them. But why bring babies on the ark? Noah was 100 years old. Noah was smart. Noah knew, bring a pink one and a blue one on the ark and bring babies on the ark. This is something I had never contemplated, but why bring a full-grown elephant when you can bring a couple of baby elephants? Why bring a full-grown giraffe? You're going to have to cut a hole in the second story to stick his head through. Why not bring a baby giraffe and put him down there on the bottom floor? Noah, as he began to build the ark, would have known to bring small animals. Number one, they're smaller. Number two, they weigh a lot less. You know, if you're going to build a boat, the smartest thing not to do is don't put a 200-ton Apatosaurus on it. Okay? Now, I know God made the boat, but the fact is, we don't want to put a lot of weight inside this boat, okay? Bring a baby Apatosaurus on the boat. Doesn't take quite so much space and certainly weighs a whole lot less. They eat a lot less. No, would not had to feed these animals quite as much had they brought babies. They sleep a lot. This would have been a good thing. We don't want the animals running around the boat all day long if we can get them to sleep, okay? Feed them, sleep them, the animals will be happy on the boat. The other thing is they're a lot tougher. When big animals tend to break, I learned this yesterday as I was outside doing things I shouldn't have been doing, and doing lifting some things I shouldn't have been lifting. The fact is, as we get older, we tend to break a little easier. I learned more about that tending towards disorder thing. I got a little better lesson than that. But the fact is they're tougher. Babies, you drop them on their head, they get up and they run around the house. Okay? Babies are absolutely a lot tougher as the boat would have been going through the water. And the big thing is, after the flood, they would have lived a lot longer, which would give them a chance to reproduce a lot more offspring before they died off. Bring two elephants that are half dead, they get off the boat, they have babies, they die, they're done. Okay, so why not bring babies on the ark? They didn't need to bring really, really big animals. But the Bible says of every living thing of all flesh, two of every sort, the Bible says, thou shalt bring onto the ark. He goes on, chapter 7, he says, and they said, and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, upon the earth after their kind, the fowl after their kind. In 2 verses, folks, the word kind is mentioned over and over and over again. I think God thought this was important, to understand that it was 2 of every kind, not of every species. Okay, species was introduced in a big way by Mr. Charles Darwin. And people will begin to talk to you about things like this. They will try to twist your mind into talking about species. Always bring your conversation back to kinds. 2 of every kind he brought onto the earth. And notice he says here, 2 and 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. He goes on in the next couple verses. All whose nostrils was the breath of life, and all that was on the dry land. I love the question that comes up. Well, if all the animals were on the boat, what about the fish? I love the question. Folks, the fish didn't have no problem. The fish's fishbowl just grew astronomically. If there was anybody in the world that was happy, it was the fish, okay? It's always an interesting quote. What happened to the fish? The fish were not on the boat. The fish were in the water. And they were really, really, really happy. What about the dinosaurs that were in the water? Plesiosaurus, Elasmosaurus, dinosaurs like this. They were long-necked dinosaurs. They had flippers so they could swim in the water. People say, what about these animals here? Would they not have been on the ark? No, they lived in the water. They were sea-dwelling dragons. So the fact is, when the water washed off, what would have made them go extinct? What's that? Who said they went extinct? That's a good question. We'll talk more about the Elasmosaurus, Plesiosaurus, and some of those animals there. But that's a good question. What said they ever went extinct? They've had water. They had water then. They have water now. Folks, we know that many basins of the ocean have never, ever been explored. In fact, they say most of the ocean is completely unexplored. Some people say we know more about space than we do about the oceans that are on our land. So you're going to tell me that these animals are extinct? I think you're not going to convince me of it. But anyway, let's go back to the nostrils. What was on the ark? These are animals that breathe nostrils. No one does not have to worry about bugs. Bugs are insects that breathe through these little spiracles in their skin. They do not breathe through their nostrils. They breathe through their skin. Therefore, Noah did not have to worry about the bugs and all the roaches and all the other little critters that had to go on the ark. Were there some on there? After 100 years of building a boat, there was probably some on there inside the wood. I wouldn't doubt that one bit. But did Noah have to worry about them? No. All Noah had to worry about was animals through their nostril. I want you to notice something else. Do you notice how we're kind of dwindling the numbers down here on the amount of animals that had to be on the ark? The numbers are beginning to come down. Some skeptics say, how did Noah fit all the millions of animals on the ark? Well, first off, only land animals, guys. No fish. Number two, no bugs. We're only worried about land-dwelling animals. Number three, Noah brought babies. He did not bring full-grown arks. In our opinion, again, this may be theory. Some may say, how do you know? Well, to me it makes sense. Okay, I can't prove it to you, but I think it makes sense that we would have brought babies on the ark. Number two of each kind, not of each variety. And God made the kinds. You know when God made the kinds, have you ever noticed that Adam named the animals in one day? Some people have questioned that. And there's some mathematical numbers we've read on that too, as to how fast we can talk. Listen to me. how fast we can talk, and how quickly he could have rattled off the names of the animals as they begin to march by him. He could spit out the names. He could have named all the animals in less than a half a day. That's what some of the numbers say. It was not a problem whatsoever. But we have a lot of dogs out here. We could go around this room, people have dogs, and probably no two are the same. Big dogs, little dogs, fat dogs, skinny dogs, hairy, non-hairy, spotted, black, whatever kind they might be. Okay. In my house, we had dumb dogs and smart dogs too. You can have all kinds of dogs, okay, out there in the world. But the fact is, on Noah's Ark, he only had 2 dogs. Okay. We have created a lot of what we call the purebreds. Those are all mankind type of things. That's why we're not going to get into that. We don't have time for that. The fact is, he only brought 2 horses. A zebra is a horse. A donkey is a horse. They're of the horse kind. Okay? When they got off the ark, they would have settled into wherever they were settling into. Things could have happened in that area. Why zebras have stripes? I don't know. God wanted them to have stripes, so they genetically moved into having stripes on the zebra. But the fact is, on the ark, he only had to have 2 horses. And when they got off the ark, the horses made all the different kinds of horses. Red horses, brown horses, black horses, big horses, little horses. All the different types and kinds of horses. And God told them how big to build the ark, did he not? God created all the kinds. God knew how many animals had to be on the ark, so that it has no problem whatsoever with how many animals were on the ark. They fit there because God told them how big to build. How big to build it. How many were actually on the ark? In 1996, 1997, I think it was, they did a survey. Yeah, 1997. They did a survey. They began to evaluate all the animals in the entire world. How they come up with these numbers, I'm not really sure. But what they did is they said they grouped them into kinds. And they said on the face of the earth today, there's only about 8,000 kinds of animals. 8,000 animals, which puts the ark to about 16,000 animals, if this be true. 16,000 animals. When you look at the size of the ark, folks, 16,000 animals and 8 people would have been able to fit on the ark with no problem. In fact, they'd have had more room on the ark than you and I can even imagine. There would have been room all over the ark for them to move around, for them to play, for them to do whatever they had to do to fit 8,000 animals on the size of the ark. We'll get into the size of the ark here in just a minute. How big, actually, was the ark? The Bible says that the length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height 30. A cubit is a simple measurement, tip of the finger to the tip of the elbow. It's kind of nice that we have rulers today that we can measure things with. This is a cubit, okay? Tip of the finger to the tip of the elbow. They had a lot of different sized peoples in those times. The average, the standard, if you will, the standard cubit was an Egyptian cubit. All right, about 20.65 inches, fingertip to elbow. Everybody seemed to use it. It seemed to be a very standard one. This will become important here in just a second. This is the size of the ark. If you get a chance, look over here at the ark that Dennis made for us here. You've got here that about 1/16 of an inch equals a foot. That's how we scaled that ark out right there. This boat was big, okay? This is the Titanic. Right here, this is the ark compared to the Titanic. It was a little short, a little shorter. This here is a full-grown Apatosaurus in relationship to the ark. Do you see why he probably brought babies? He'd have had to make a very special compartment to fit that animal on this ark. But if you brought a couple babies, wouldn't have been no problem whatsoever. Let them run around, let them have a little bit of fun. But this is basically the length when we look at the average size of the cubit, look at the size of the measurements God gave us. We come up with about 515 feet long.